told me he was going to bring up other videos he thought. That's what he thought.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to call to order the meeting of the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners, and we will call on Commissioner Schaefer to lead us in prayer. Then Commissioner Stevens will be leading us in the pledge.
I have a prayer tonight that I brought out from the archives, I guess. It's one that I read periodically when I'm feeling that life's getting me down or whatever, and it just helps me to think how thankful and how much I'm loved that I am alive. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, help us remember that the jerk who cut us off in traffic last night is a single mother who worked 9 hours that day and is rushing home to cook dinner, help with homework, do the laundry, and spend a few precious moments with her children. Help us to remember that the Pierce tattooed, disinterested young man who can't make change correctly is a worried 19-year-old college student, balancing his apprehension over fall exams with fear of not getting his student loans for next semester. Remind us, Lord, that the scary-looking bum begging for money in the same spot every day, who should have had a job by now, is a slave to addictions that we can only imagine in our worst nightmares. Help us to remember that the old couple walking annoyingly slow through the store aisles and blocking our shopping progress are savoring this moment, knowing that, based on the biopsy report she got back last week, this will be the last year that they go shopping together. Heavenly Father, remind us each day that of all the gifts you give us, the greatest gift is love. It is not enough to share that love with those we hold dear. Open our hearts, not just to those who are close to us, but to all humanity. Let us be slow to judge, quick to forgive, show patience, empathy, and love. And dear Lord, fill us with your peace that surpasses all understanding, and fill us with the wisdom and counsel of your Holy Spirit. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Madam Chairman, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Schaefer? Here. Commissioner Black? Here. Commissioner Jordan? Here. Commissioner P? Here. Commissioner Cook? Here. Commissioner Jernigan? Here. Commissioner Farley?
Here.
Commissioner Phillips?
Here.
Commissioner Sandlin? Here. Commissioner Turner?
Here.
Commissioner Allen? Here. Commissioner Stevens? Here. Commissioner Jordan? Here. Commissioner Baum? Commissioner Coggin, present. Commissioner Young, present. Commissioner Phillips, present. Commissioner McAdoo, here. Commissioner Ely, here. Commissioner Gooch, here. Commissioner Sereno, 21 present.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. You have before you a copy, I believe, of the minutes of the last meeting. Do we have a motion considering their approval? Commissioner Phillips.
Mr. Chairman, I move that they be approved as mailed.
All right. Have a second from Commissioner Sereno. Did anyone find any corrections or additions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Next, we have a presentation by our Tennessee Fire Academy, and we'd like to call forward Mr. Ed Hines and Roger Hawks. And I believe we should ask Mr. Larry Farley to come up here with these gentlemen. If he's here. I don't see Larry. Well, there he is right there. He's Larry. I saw him today early, and he wasn't dressed up in that uniform, so I didn't even know exactly who that was. Excuse me, sir.
Good evening. On behalf of the Department of Commerce and Insurance and the Tennessee Fire Academy, we'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to address you this evening. Each year, the Fire Academy tracks the total number of hours all of the state fire departments amass coming to the Tennessee Fire Academy. For the fiscal year 10-11, the Rutherford County Fire Department was fourth in the state with 3,257 total hours. That is an excellent achievement in and of itself, but when we consider that the three departments ahead of them, two of which had large recruit classes of 400 hours for each participant, and the other had a regional training event that amassed a lot of hours, the Rutherford County Fire Rescue Department was the top of the list in the state for training outside of recruit programs. We'd like to award the fire department this plaque recognizing that and congratulate them on the success. Thank you.
I want to accept this award for all the volunteer fire department across Rutherford County. This Saturday, we will graduate a class of 24 firefighters from the city of Eagleville, Amelville Fire Department, Kittville Fire Department, and some from the county fire department. And we also have 3 firefighters from the city of Laverne. So those are the guys who do all the work, and I just accept it for them. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, next on our agenda is a time for public comments, and we have several people that wish to speak tonight, and I will remind all of us that we have allotted a time of 30 minutes for that, and I believe maybe if we all stick with our 3-minute allotment for each person speaking, that we'll probably have time. So, Mr. Robertson, if there's a way for you to let me know when our 3 minutes is up, or I think we have our control device here on the podium that will let the speakers know. So each of you please come forward and give us your name and address and make your comments, and we'd like to ask you to hold those to 3 minutes. And our first speaker tonight is Michael Calger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Commissioners. I was privileged last night to be at the redistricting committee meeting. I saw 11 people working together to do something I didn't think was possible in this county. They put together a plan for 21 districts, even though we've had a 40% growth. I was amazed. They passed it. But don't worry, a man rode up last night on his white horse screaming, "We're in hard times! These are hard times for us, and we need to reduce all you commissioners to 14. We're going to save you money." He said it was $75,000. Well, Ms. Nolan said it was $58,000. So let's take that number just for a moment. 58,000 divided by the 7 commissioners we're going to save, $8,200, right? Let's take the 12,500 people in each one of those districts. It will save 66 cents per person per year. That's the savings. Think about that. 66 cents per person per year, and you guys have a $440 million budget. What is he thinking? Well, he's thinking that if we reduce it down to 14 commissioners, we can have a much larger group of people. I know you guys are all part-timers, right? Every one of you are part-timers? You have lots of time on your hands. You got 12,500 people that you're representing right now. We're going to move it to 19,000 because you have that much extra time. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm married to an attorney. If you actually put that plan in action, I can guarantee you one thing. You're going to have Mr. Cope law firm, who are very able lawyers, by the way. They're going to be representing you again. That $58,000 they're talking about is gone. So think about that. There is no savings, and we're going to reduce the number of commission districts. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, respectfully, we would like for the audience to refrain from participating in this public comment period. All right, next we have Lee Campbell.
Thank you, Mayor Burgess and members of the Commission. My name is Lee Campbell from Smyrna, and I reside in County Commission 9. I want to take this opportunity to give a couple of reasons why I believe that the County Commission should remain at 21 members and not be changed to 14. First of all, one of the major reasons that has been brought forward is the cost savings that the county may have. I saw the figure of roughly $75,000 in the cost savings, but I did see in the D&J that our able finance director, Ms. Nolan, had said it would probably be closer to $58,000. But at any rate, let's put that money, $58,000 or even $75,000 in savings, let's put that in perspective. I think tonight, one of the items I noticed was going to be about the bond issue for the Stewart Creek High School and the renovation at Eagleville. That project alone is $15.75 million. And we're talking about a cost of saving $58,000. And compared to that, I think that's like the proverbial drop in the bucket. And as was alluded to earlier there, our total budget in the county, $440 million. Again, this would be a drop in the bucket. Taking into account the other side of it is would be losing representation. I think probably most commissioners do not, and they probably adhere to this. They don't like to think of themselves as a political body, but anytime that you are talking about changing the membership in a political body, why, there's going to be politics involved. Ask yourselves, if a certain political faction, and I'm not saying political party, I'm saying political faction, at any time would like to extend their influence or would like to gain a majority, do you think they would rather try to get a majority with 11 members, as it is now, or with 8? I think the evidence to that, the answer to that is self-evident. There's a 900-pound gorilla in the room, and that is that this is a political agenda being put forth here, and I think that we should stay at 21 members. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Next, we have Mr. Tony Pegel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Tony Pegel. I live on Burnt Knob Road. And I want to say first that I'm proud to be a member of Rutherford County. We have a county of 262,000 people plus, and you can still know your county commissioner. Mr. Sandlin is my county commissioner. And if you check national issues or political party, we may not be in agreement. But I voted for him because you can know the man in this county, and I think that's a good thing. Also, in this county, you can get elected to the county commission without a whole lot of money. If you want to shake everybody's hand and knock on doors, you can still get elected by your voters. With 13,000 people in a district, that's hard to do. If we raise that to 20,000 per district, it'll be near impossible. We will force our commissioners to limit their time with their constituents so they can raise money to run. And I've had no one explain to me the dire circumstances that require us to change our system that has worked so well and replace it with a Washington-style system. Now, I've heard numbers from $58,000 to $75,000. Now, that's not, pocket change. But in a $407 million budget, it's rather insignificant. In fact, if you distribute that countywide, divide that by 262,000, it is 22 to 28 cents per voter. It's a quarter. I think my voice is worth more than a quarter. I hope you think my voice is worth more than a quarter. Now, I was looking over the budget, and there's two main line items for the county commission. The first one is $107,000, and it is fees, and that's basically what you get paid. The second one is per diem and other fees, and coincidentally, that was $75,000 last year. I would suggest, if if you're going to cut $75,000, before you dilute our voices in this commission, you look at waiving those secondary fees. Now, I may be naive and not understand how things work, and there may come a day when you cannot meet all your constituents anymore, but that day doesn't have to be today. And there may be a day when political party and money rules this commission, but that day does not need to be today. I urge you not to dilute the voice of the people to save a quarter. I would urge you strongly to vote against any motion to reduce the number of districts. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Sue Kane.
I live at 1707 Berkeley Street in Murfreesboro. I thank you for allowing me to come and speak to you tonight. Good evening to Mayor Burgess and all members of the Rutherford County Commission. I asked to speak to you regarding the question of removing 7 seats or 7 members of the Rutherford County Commission. If I read the article correctly, we had so many new residents that we were trying to figure out how to balance the numbers in each district. Even wanting to split subdivisions, just like when Riverdale and Oakland were rezoned, and the school board wanted to split subdivisions for their new school zones. Then I hear that you wish to remove 7 members of the commission and go down to 14 to save money. If my math is correct, in order to save money, you'd have to save at least $600,000. Because if I remember what someone told me several years ago, in order for the tax rate to go up a penny, the expenditures had to go up $600,000. That's where that number comes from. The commissioners are paid according to the number of meetings they go to. They get $150 for a regular meeting, like tonight, and $100 for each committee meeting you go to. That averages out, I'm told, to about $7,000. And if you take 7 times 7,000, that's $49,000. As Mr. Campbell said, a drop in the bucket. That certainly is not anywhere near 600,000. Now look at the population changes in Rutherford County in the last 30 years. We had a county population 30 years ago of less than 50,000 people. When I did Leadership Rutherford in 1990, we were told that the county population should reach 100,000 by 2000, and we're sitting there looking at each other like, how on earth is that going to happen? But it did. We had 21 commissioners in 1980. We had 21 commissioners in 1990. We had 21 commissioners in the year 2000 and the year 2010, and we have 21 commissioners now. Our population has continued to grow because a lot of people move here looking for a job, and they get here and they find out the same things that we've known since we've been here, that it's a great place to live. We have those who are unemployed, homeless, and living from penny to penny, just like you have in the larger metropolitan areas, and our crime rate has gone up too. We're still growing. We're over 250,000. Guys, we don't need to go down. We need to go up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kane. Michael Williams.
Thank you very much. I'm here tonight to ask you to continue with 21 people representing the people. There are 3 reasons for this. First of all, I was fortunate enough a number of years ago to earn a graduate degree in public administration from the John Glenn School of Public Policy at the Graduate School at The Ohio State University. I remember this delightful professor, who was the former auditor of the state of Columbus, writing on the whiteboard, and we also had blackboards then too, still, writing the words, "If you reduce representation, you reduce revenue." And what he was trying to say is that whenever the people feel like they aren't being represented as much as they used to be, they are less likely to vote for necessary fire levies, school levies, police levies. And studies in the American Journal of Public Policy have indicated that, in fact, in those legislative bodies that did things that made the representation less than it was originally designed, people became unhappy, they felt they weren't represented as much as they used to be, and they did the only thing they could. They voted with their wallets. So that's the first reason that I hope that you will maintain 21. If you reduce representation, you reduce revenue. Secondly, the demographics in Rutherford County require more representation, not less. We are fast growing, as Sue has already pointed out. And we're varied districts with varied needs. Like in Smyrna, you have the largest runway in the state of Tennessee. In Murfreesboro, you have what I think is the best college in the state of Tennessee, best state college in MTSU. Some communities have fire hydrants. Some population areas like Smyrna, Laverne, Almaville, Blackman need a new high school very badly. It's started now. In fact, the blasting started this week. The windows in my house are rattling. My dogs hate it. But the children in the neighborhood love it because 3 families in our neighborhood were going to move because they're tired of the overcrowding they had to experience at Smyrna. Now they're staying. The for sale signs are gone. We need to have representation because perhaps if we had less representatives, there would not have been the push to get that school started. And finally, in my 37 seconds, I just bluntly believe that to limit representation is not in keeping with the goodwill and intent of the framers of the United States Constitution and the Constitution of the state of Tennessee. So for those 3 reasons, to maintain equal representation as the constitutions require, to recognize the unique demographics of Rutherford County, and to continue with the revenue we need, knowing that a reduction in representation reduces revenue, I hope you will continue to maintain the status quo of 21 commissioners. Thank you, and bless you.
Thank you. Patrick Doyle.
Commissioners, I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. My name is Patrick Doyle, and I reside in District 19. And I come as a concerned citizen, as I have heard that efforts are afoot to reduce the number of county districts. It is my opinion that doing anything that would make it more difficult for the residents of Rutherford County to vote or to lessen their ability to be fairly represented would be an affront to the democratic process and a miscarriage of the responsibilities sworn to by the county commissioners. I do not know if there are good reasons to change the number of districts. I don't have that knowledge or that capability, either by increasing or decreasing them. It is my opinion that it is too important a matter to be done by one person. If changes are to be considered, I hope that a committee composed of reasonable and talented individuals will carry out the study. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. According to our normal rules, the public hearings are to start at 6:30. I can't see the clock that you may be looking at back there or wherever you're looking, but we're going to have to stop the public comments for this period. We still have, according to my clock, about 12 more minutes, so we have time for about 4 more public comments. But we have to go down to our public hearings, and we do have 2 tonight. So the first one is an application on the behalf of Michelle Mobbs and John Benbow, a rezoning and conditional use permit R15 to services with conditional use permit for electrical contractor's office at 8909 Couchville Pike on 5.1 acres. So, Mr. DeMosi, you may give us a review of that request.
Thank you, Mayor Burgess, and good evening, Mayor and members of the Commission. As was stated, this property is located along Couchville Pike. The applicant is proposing to use the existing building on the property for an electrical contractor's office. This business, called Impulse Electrical Systems, they design and install electrical equipment for commercial and industrial clients in the area, including Nissan. Most of the work is actually done on the site, and typically only 7 employees will be working from the office. Normal hours of operation are from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. The building that's on the property was constructed back in the late 1980s to be used as a workshop. The use of the building has evolved over the years. In 2003, the building was refinished to commercial standards. A conditional use permit was granted in 2005 for processing and distribution of pre-weighted goods used in... Okay, I'm done, sorry. Pre-weighted goods used in the curing of rubber. A second conditional use permit was granted in 2008 for office space and the parking of construction vehicles. With both of these applications, only the conditional use permit was approved. The zoning of the property was still residential, and the CUPs were set to expire upon the sale of the property. When this application came in, the staff recommendation was to look again at the rezoning of the property. We feel that this project is consistent with the land use plan and the policies included within the comprehensive plan. This building is already built to commercial standards, will likely continue to attract business interests. If the property is owned services, then as the property is redeveloped over time, it can slowly be brought into compliance with other development standards such as our landscaping, parking requirements, and that kind of thing. We just feel really at this point that, it pretty much smells like a rose, it looks like a rose, let's go ahead and call it a rose. So let's go ahead and give it the commercial zoning that it really needs and has needed really for the last several years. With that, the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this by unanimous recommendation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Any questions of Mr. DeMosi prior to the public hearing? Okay, if there are no questions, Mr. DeMosi, we will declare the public hearing open with respect to this application by Michelle Mobbs and John Benbow for this electrical contractor's office conditional use permit. If anyone is here that wishes to speak for or against this application, it's your opportunity to come forward and tell the commissioners what you think about it. So I'd ask you to come forward and give us your name and address and make your comments. Here, someone is coming forward, so come forward, please, sir.
My name is John Benbow, and we put the request in. I'd just like to thank everybody that voted to approve the property to be commercially zoned. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else that wishes to speak for or against the proposed conditional use permit? Okay. Seeing no one else that wishes to speak, the public hearing is closed. Do we have a motion concerning this request? Commissioner Jordan.
I'll make a motion to approve with all staff comments.
And second, Commissioner Cook. Any other discussion? All right, if you're ready to vote, then all of you in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Thank you very much. Next, we have a zoning resolution amendment. Article 13.04 is to amend the standards for storm shelters.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Due to the recent outbreak of severe storms in the Middle Tennessee area, both planning and building code staff have received requests from several residents wishing to install storm shelters on their properties. The zoning resolution at this time is pretty much silent on storm shelters, and while we would like to encourage the installation and use of these facilities, we also feel that it would be a good idea to create regulations for these type of structures so that all applicants would be treated fairly. Staff originally presented the draft regulations that we had for storm shelters to the Planning Commission at their June 28th meeting. After receiving a number of comments and suggestions by the Planning Commission, we've amended the draft to what is before you tonight and was unanimously approved by the Planning Commission at their July 25th meeting. Just a quick overview of the regulations. Again, what we were looking to do with these was come up with some regulations that weren't overly burdensome for the community, but at the same time, again, provided us some guidelines to go by for people who wanted to install these structures. These really deal more with the freestanding structures out in someone's yard as opposed to the ones actually inside someone's house. That would really be more of a building code issue. But essentially, what we would propose is, again, we'd first define them, meaning any structure built above or below ground with the sole intent to protect life and limb from adverse weather conditions. They would not count toward the maximum square footage allowance for detached accessory structures in residential areas. For example, things like garages, detached garages, carports, those kind of things. There's a limit based on the acreage of your property as to how much square footage you can have on a piece of property. This would not be included in that calculation, similar to what we do with pools. But the storm shelters, basically, they would not be allowed to be constructed in any public utility, drainage, easements, public rights-of-way, roadway easements, anything like that. They would have to meet setback requirements, as any structure would. There's some, number 3 there, there's some regulations as far as if it's above ground and there's bermed with fill material. There's a little regulation there as far as the slope 3-to-1 being no greater than that, and no slope extending into the right-of-way. And then the construction shall comply with the latest edition of International Code Council 500, which is ICC 500. We shared these recommendations with Mr. Jones, our building codes director, and we, after looking at this and discussing it in some detail, he's comfortable with what we're proposing, and actually the ICC 500 standards actually came from him. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Mr. Farley.
What kind of permit, is there going to be a permit, like a building permit on this?
There will still be a building permit, yes, sir.
How much is the permit?
It depends on the cost of construction. As far as the actual building permit itself, that's something handled in the codes department, so I'm not sure what that is, but it's based on cost of construction.
Okay.
Any other questions of Mr. Demosi? All right, thank you, sir. That being the case, we will declare this request to approve this zoning resolution amendment. The public hearing is open. Is there anyone here in the public that wishes to speak for or against this particular amendment? If so, come forward and give us your comments and name and address.
I'm Gabriel Fancher. I live on over there on right off of Somerset on goodness, I'm so nervous up here in front of you guys. Wiltshire. That's right. Thanks, Joyce. You know, this sounds like a great thing. It really does. But I have friends that live out in California, and every time they go to build something, they have to go through all kinds of hoops. And it all started with these well-intended things. And this is, you know, for people that want more representation, this is getting more government in the way of building things on your own property. And so I encourage you to, you know, we've got building codes already that keep people from building inside where the water is flowing. And it's frustrating that you want to add more things to people. And so I think at least it deserves some discussion from you guys to think about this before you move forward with adding more laws and unneeded laws, in my opinion, upon the people. Thanks.
All right. Is there someone else that wishes to speak for or against this proposed zoning resolution amendment? If not, then this public hearing is closed. And do we have a motion concerning the requested amendment? Motion by Commissioner Farley to approve. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Allen. Discussion. Commissioner Jordan.
Well, I'll just comment since I'm on planning. We looked at this for 2 or 3 months straight, I guess. We're doing this in hopefully a way to make it easier for somebody to build a bomb shelter and all, not count toward their total square footage for accessory structures and all. Have some sort of guidelines for the building codes to go through so we make sure people are building something that's safe. And actually our intent on doing this was making it better for people to be able to build a bomb shelter instead of somebody going there and building something inappropriately and actually getting hurt or something like that.
Commissioner Farley.
Actually, with the weather-related tornadoes that we've had in Rutherford County in the past few years, I look forward to having a mechanism where our people can actually be safe, and it helps when they do build these things, that it's a safe environment for the person's family to be able to go into a shelter and withstand a tornado. That's why I'm supporting it.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? Commissioner Allen.
The other point on Planning Commission that we had was our concern about fly-by-night contractors coming through and selling people storm shelters, and they might not be rated or they might not be up to quality construction. And so this was really so that we would have something for codes to go by, sort of a measuring tool to say this does qualify or does not qualify. If someone still wants to build a root cellar, we've talked a lot about root cellars. You can build your own root cellar and you don't have to go through this process, but if you intend to call it a storm shelter, then we also discussed that these storm shelters would be registered with the 911 services so that in the event of a disaster, we would know where to go looking for people. So there was quite a bit of discussion that went around the logic behind this.
And Commissioner Farley again.
And I apologize for stepping up again, but you triggered my memory when you said something. What this does, the International Code Council, the International Residential Code, what it does, these storm shelters, it makes sure that they're laboratory approved, a UL approved system. If you've got a contractor that comes in town and just throws something together, you want the public or your families to be safe, and the ventilation of these systems, make sure it's got the right ventilation where they don't get down there and have to stay 3 or 4 hours, and then when you find them, they're dead. It's a safety issue. It's a public safety issue, so I'll sit down and shut up.
All right. Any other discussion? Commissioner Schaefer.
Yeah, just to follow up on what Commissioner Allen said, so if I wanted to go out in the backyard and I wanted to dig a hole and put a slab down and put up some 4x4s or something for support and this type thing and put a generator down there, and then come the fall when the apples come in, I go out there and put the apples in there to keep them, then I could call that a root cellar and I wouldn't have to pay anything. But it's on my back now is what it is, and it's not on anybody else's. What you're saying is we pass this, we cover the county from liability is the way I see it.
Yes, sir. I'd say what you just said was accurate.
Any other discussion? If not, I think we're ready to vote. All of you in favor of this, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? No. Let the record reflect we have one no. Mr. Stevens. And Mr. DeMosi would like to make a brief announcement.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Burgess. I just wanted to kind of give you a quick update on the status of the zoning ordinance update. We do have a draft zoning ordinance document now. It's located on our website. If you want to go to the county's website at www.rutherfordcountytn.gov and follow the link to the Planning and Engineering homepage, you'll find a link there to the document. It's very enthralling reading. I would encourage everybody to read it. The Planning Commission will be holding a work session on it after their next meeting, which is September 26th. That meeting, the Planning Commission regular meeting begins at 9 a.m. As soon as that's over, the work session will begin. If you all are encouraged and invited to be there, we do have a few hard copies left at the office if you'd like a hard copy, or you can just download a copy there. Anybody in the public who would like to download a copy is more than welcome to do so as well. We do plan on having public hearings and comments in the future. This really is strictly just a work session with the Planning Commission and also the steering committee that was set up for the comprehensive plan. They're part of this as well, and any of the commissioners that would like to come, and also Board of Zoning Appeal members. But I just wanted to let you all know about that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We will resume now with the public comments, and we've got about 12 minutes left. And the next person that is asked to speak is Kimberly Jensen.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Kimberly Rose Jensen. I live at 224 Quail Ridge Road in Smyrna, Tennessee. I've been a resident of Rutherford County for 9 years. I'm raising my 3 children here. I read in the paper about the plan to reduce the commission districts from 21 to 14, and I'm opposed to this plan for a couple of reasons. Number one is that our county has shown a 40% growth in population since the last census, and even more growth is anticipated during the next 10 years. We have one of the largest geographic counties in Tennessee, and losing any representation is detrimental to our population. The second reason is, as someone else here said a few minutes ago, there is enough representation right now that our individual commission district people are able to talk to us and interact with us in a personal way. They are approachable, and most voters value that. If you take away some of our commissioners, the remaining ones are going to be burdened for the next 10 years with our burgeoning population. The end result, it would be a frustrated public who may feel that their voices are not being heard. The minimal savings in the budget that would be had by this action could have a negative result among our residents. Therefore, I believe that we need to keep our county commission number at 21. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jim Daniel.
Well, friends, I'm Jim Daniel, 1407 Wall Street. This is Old Home Week for me. Hi, glad to see you. I'm concerned about messing with the government on short notice, the structure, and the deprivation that the people would suffer. I think people have laid it out already, so I won't trouble you with some of that. And why would I come up here at age 76? Because I was reading something where Lincoln said to sin by silence when they should protest makes cowards out of men. The alternate proposal by Commissioner Stevens would cause strife and dissension within the commission and would result in a third of the present number of commissioners losing their seats. Anybody who ran this last time proposes to lose your seat, you know, you can raise your hand if you feel inclined. Now, the alternate, and for what? You know, there was no alleged misconduct. You all aren't accused of anything except being commissioners. The alternate program written by Mr. Stevens does not recognize that reducing the commission will provide less services. That's been said before, but I want to second it. Instead of each commissioner representing thousands of people, and again, if anyone here knows everybody in your district by first name and last name on a personal basis, raise your hand. You've got 12,000 about now, and you would have about 18,000. This is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Well, maybe not, but it's the best we can do. At the meeting last night, one of the commissioners said he talked with the finance director, and that instead of saving $750,000, correct my little note to you, as $58,000 approximately. There are other reasonable objections to the proposed alternate plan. These are just a few. Thank you.
Thank you. Justin St. Clair.
Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, distinguished commissioners. I'm here to voice my objection to the proposed redistricting, which would basically fire 7 of our county commissioners, reducing the representation and diluting the vote of every Rutherford County citizen. Traditionally, the county commission has been a body that's been approachable by the electorate, where you're able to have a relationship with your commissioner, and he knows what's on your mind, and you know what he's thinking, and you're able to communicate back and forth and have a good little interplay, something that might not be present with, say, your congressman, because he represents a lot more people. The danger and the peril that we risk by diluting our county commission to a body of 14 and firing 7 county commissioners is that we run the risk of stealing the democracy from many of our people in Rutherford County. What are we going to tell these people who become accustomed to their county commissioner when all of a sudden they have a new county commissioner that represented the district next to them? What are we going to tell those people? Where did their commissioner go? What will be the answer? Will we tell them it was because of cost savings? Now, we know that's a spurious claim. This is not a measure to to save the taxpayers money. This is just about politics and gerrymandering our election system. I urge this commission to keep the body at 21 and do not fire 7 county commissioners. Thank you.
John Green. John Green, is he here? I do not see him. Therefore, Mr. Donald Todd, you will be able to speak.
My name is Donald Todd, and I live at 633 Buck Lane. Imminent increase in county debt must be stopped. On June 16, 2011, the Rutherford County Commission adopted a resolution authorizing the issuing of interfund capital outlay notes, which will cost taxpayers $15 million for preliminary construction costs for a new high school. Some very serious problems may result from this action. The county must begin to pay interest and principal on these costs in the very near future because borrowed bond money is involved here. With the first payment on the $15 million notes expected to be due sometime in 2012, this coincides, unfortunately, with previously scheduled note and bond payments also due in 2012, which alone amounts to approximately $60 million. With compiling of debt upon older debt, you can almost foresee that the county could use this as an excuse for calling for an increase in property taxes during the 2012-2013 fiscal year. Instead of ultimately relying on borrowed money to pay for the $15 million note, why didn't the county use as their source of money the millions and millions of dollars of surplus revenue, thereby preventing a possible increase in taxes and providing a measure of financial relief for the taxpayers in a time of financial crisis? Faulty financial policies in handling surplus revenue appear to be promoted by metro-type pressure tactics in local governments. For example, in the highway budget for Rutherford County in 2009-2010, $9.3 million was appropriated for that year to the highway fund. But at the end of that year, this fund showed a surplus revenue balance of $6.7 million. Very suspicious, especially when this type of problem occurs year after year. This could mean that only $2.6 million of the original $9.3 million appropriation was needed. Apparently, the taxpayers are being overtaxed, and therefore the county government is unnecessarily over-appropriating money. In this example, it also appears that stringent, unconstitutional metro rules have tied the hands of officials, preventing states or counties from using their surplus revenue. State Senator Campfield and Representative Nicely seem to be in favor of governments writing a budget so that it has a zero fund balance. This would solve our financial problems and would keep Metro or the federal government off of our backs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Todd. All right, that finishes our period of public comments, and now we're ready to resume our normal agenda, and we have elections and confirmations, and our steering committee representative will be Commissioner Gooch will make this presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners. On behalf of the steering committee, we have several items for your consideration this evening. On your desk, you should find a copy of the proposed notaries, and I move that we approve those.
Second, Commissioner McAdoo. Any discussion on this? All of you in favor, please say aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? All right, thank you, Mr. Gooch.
Thank you. Second, we need to fill a vacancy on the Codes Enforcement Adjustment and Appeals Board. Steering committee nominates David Adams, and I so move.
Second, Commissioner Jernigan. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you.
We need to announce a vacancy on the Board of Zoning Appeals. We also need to announce 2 vacancies and 1 alternate vacancy on the Beer Board. We need to announce 2 county general employee vacancies on the Insurance Committee. We also need to reaffirm members of the Ethics Committee, which includes Commissioner Joyce Ely, Commissioner Robert P., Commissioner Adam Coggins, Trustee Tab Beatty, and Mrs. Frances Mosby. And I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second from Commissioner Farley. Any discussion on that? All in favor again, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Next, we need to approve an appointment of a judicial commissioner. Steering committee nominates Shanta Arnold. I so move, Mr. Chair.
And Commissioner Serino seconded that. Is there any other discussion on this? All in favor then, please say aye. Aye. All right, thank you.
Next, we need to have the election of a chairman pro tem, and the chairman will take nominations from the floor.
All right, we have nominations now for Chairman Pro Tem, and we have Commissioner Allen and then Commissioner Jordan.
I'd like to nominate Jeff Phillips.
Okay, Commissioner Allen nominates Jeff Phillips. Do we have a second on that? Second, Commissioner Cook. Now, Commissioner Jordan.
Nominate Commissioner Steve Sandlin.
Commissioner Stanlin. Do we have a second on Commissioner Sandlin? Commissioner Schaefer. Are there other nominations? All right, there are no other nominations. Is there anyone else that wishes to say anything here before we take this vote? All right, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please? And you will vote for either Commissioner Phillips or Commissioner Sandlin.
Okay. Commissioner Schaefer. Commissioner Black. Commissioner Jordan.
Commissioner Sandlin.
Commissioner P.
Sandlin.
Commissioner Cook. Commissioner Jernigan. Commissioner Farley. Commissioner Phillips. Commissioner Sandlin. Commissioner Turner. Commissioner Allen. Commissioner Stevens. Commissioner Jordan. Commissioner Baum. Commissioner Coggin. Commissioner Young. Commissioner Phillips.
My arithmetic is not what it used to be, but I've already counted the number. And Mr. Chairman, if it's permissible, I would like to remove my name and move that Mr. Sandlin be elected by acclamation.
Without objection, we'll accept that motion. And all in favor of this motion, do we have a second of that? I guess I probably, Commissioner Farley, of electing Mr. Sandlin by acclamation, would you please say aye? Aye. Are there any opposed to that? Congratulations, Mr. Sandlin, and thank you for your graciousness, Mr. Phillips, and you've served us well and will continue to, I'm sure. Okay, continue on then, Mr. Gooch.
Next, we need to elect a court chaplain, and the chairman will take nominations from the floor.
Commissioner Coggin.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Brad Turner.
All right, Commissioner Turner is nominated. Do we have a second? Commissioner Schaefer has seconded that. Commissioner Sandlin?
I'll make a motion that nominations cease and Mr. Turner be elected by acclamation.
Second by Commissioner Jordan. Any other discussion on that? If not, all of you in favor of electing Commissioner Turner by acclamation, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, and we are sure that Commissioner Turner will do an equally good job, just as Commissioner Schaefer has done, and we do thank Commissioner Schaefer for his service. All right. Next, Mr. Gooch.
Next, we need to have confirmation of election of Commission Chairman. And I think we need to invite Chairman Pro Tem from the desk.
I'll do it right here. Basically, this is confirmation. We voted on this last month. So I'd entertain a motion for our chair to be Mayor Burgess. Motion and a second. Question or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All that oppose? Mr. Chair.
Well, thank you again for your confidence and your support. Now, Mr. Gooch, you can continue on.
Okay. One more item. First of all, I'd like to recognize appreciation to Chairman Coggins on his leadership and his contribution to the committee assignments this year. With his leadership, he was able to recommend that all 21 commissioners receive their first choice, 20 commissioners receive their second choice, and the commissioner who didn't receive their second choice did get on 3 committees. That list should be before you, and I move that we approve the committee assignments that steering recommended.
Second, Commissioner Jordan will. All right, any discussion regarding this motion? I believe you're all ready to vote on that. Then all in favor of approving the recommended list from the steering committee with respect to the makeup of the committees, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Now, as our normal practice, what we'll do is we will excuse each committee one by one, and you'll go into room 205, please, and select your chairman and vice chairman and tell us again your meeting times. And Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee, it will be first, and those on that committee are Commissioner Baum, Commissioner Schaefer, Commissioner Jernigan, Commissioner Ely, Commissioner P., Commissioner Jordan, and Commissioner Sandlin. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee has returned. And again, Commissioner Ely is chairperson, Commissioner Jordan is the vice chair, and they will continue to meet on Thursday at 5:30 before the commission meeting each month. Public Safety Committee, Commissioner Jeff Phillips, Commissioner Young, Commissioner Tiffany Phillips, Commissioner Schaefer, Farley, P., and Gooch. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Public Safety Committee has returned. Commissioner Farley is chairperson, Commissioner Schaefer vice chair, and they will continue to meet on the fourth Monday of the month at 5:30. Next, we have Public Works and Planning. Commissioner Turner, Sereno, Black, Jernigan, Allen, Stevens, and Commissioner Tiffany Phillips. Ladies and gentlemen, the Public Works and Planning Committee has reported that Commissioner Jernigan is chairperson, Commissioner Black is vice chair. They will continue to meet on Tuesday at 6. I'm not sure exactly which one, but the same Tuesday. Second Tuesday at 6. Next, the Health and Education Committee. Commissioner Turner, Cook, Sereno, Allen, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, Commissioner Jeff Phillips, and Commissioner Will Jordan. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Health and Education Committee has reported that Commissioner Jeff Jordan is chairperson, Commissioner Will Jordan is vice chair, and they will continue to meet on the fourth Tuesday each month at 5:30. Next, we're ready for property management. Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner Baum, Cook, Farley, Young, and Serino. Ladies and gentlemen, the Property Management Committee has reported, and Commissioner McAdoo is chairperson, Commissioner Farley vice chair, and they will meet on the fourth Thursday at 5:30. So that completes our business with respect to the committee assignments. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're ready to continue our agenda. There's no unfinished business for us to take up. We're ready for the reports by the standing committees. There is a purchasing committee report that you have received. We need a motion concerning that report. Do we have a motion for approval? Commissioner McAdoo, do we have a second on the purchasing committee? Second by Commissioner Farley. Is there any discussion? If not, all of you in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? All right, we're ready for Commissioner Ely to bring forth the Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee report.
Let's begin, please, with item K2A, the General Fund Budget Amendments. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the general fund be amended as follows. Circuit Court Information Technology increased revenue, Circuit Court excess fees $50,000, from data processing services $8,256, to data processing personnel, $43,725, and the related benefits. This budget amendment is to hire a project manager funded from the current court's employment order going to the OIT, and this is to update court computer software. From pet adoption and welfare services, from unassigned fund balance, $10,000, to maintenance and repair of building, $10,000, and this is due to an unexpected major repair to the HVAC system. From the Sheriff's Department and Jail, increased revenue of contributions, $14,875, proceeds from a conference going to increased expenditures for in-service training, $14,875. Increased revenue of sale of supplies and materials, memorial bricks, increased expenditures, other contracted services, $4,100. Increased revenue of contributions and gifts for the 9/11 Memorial, the K-9 and Explorers, $1,270. Increased expenditure, other contracted services, $1,270. Increased revenue of sale of recycled materials, $357. Increased expenditures, jail and maintenance and repair of buildings, $357. Increased revenue of sale and recycled materials, $101. Increased expenditures, jail, food preparation supplies, $101. Increased revenue, contribution and gifts of $305. The SCAN program and Operation Integrity. Increased expenditure, other supplies and materials, $305. Increased revenue, sale of supplies and materials, $252. For numerous copies requested by lawyers. Increased expenditures, jail and office supplies, $252. Increased revenue, contributions and gifts, $500 for the vegetable garden. Increased expenditures, jail and other supplies and materials, $500. Increased revenue, other, $17,774. This is the state inmate medical reimbursement. Increased expenditures, jail, other contracted services, $17,774. Increased revenue from sale of recycled materials. Increased expenditures, other contracted services, $1,481 for the mounted patrol. Resolved this 15th day of September 2011. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second, Commissioner Jernigan. Any discussion? Please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes.
20 yes, 1 no. Motion passes.
Item K2B, an ambulance service fund budget amendment. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the ambulance service fund be amended as follows. Emergency medical service, increased revenue, contributions and gifts, $30,000. Increased expenditures, data processing equipment, $30,000. This is a contribution from Middle Tennessee Medical Center to purchase mobile gateways for ambulances. Resolved this 15th day of September 2011. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
And a second from Commissioner Turner. Any discussion? Please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes.
21 yes, motion passes.
Item K2C, a resolution authorizing the Adult Detention Center to institute a fee for items issued to inmates at the time of each new admission. Commissioners, if you will move past the preamble on the first page and go to the back side, I will begin with, now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners, following the receipt of 2/3 vote of the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners in favor of the adoption of this resolution, that 1, pursuant to the provisions of Tennessee Code Annotated Section 41-4-142A, the administrator of the Rutherford County Adult Detention Center shall demand and receive fees for items issued to inmates at the time of each new admission in an amount not to exceed the actual cost of the issued items. 2, such fees shall be collected from each and every inmate at the time of each new admission to the Rutherford County Adult Detention Center unless the inmate is expressly exempted from payment by Tennessee Code Annotated Section 41-4-142C or other governing law. 3, pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 41-4-142C, the administrator of the Rutherford County Adult Detention Center may deduct these fees from the inmate's trust account or any other account or fund established by or for the benefit of the inmate while incarcerated. Number 4, pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 41-4-142A, the fees shall not exceed the actual cost of the issued items. Number 5, pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 41-4-142C, no inmate shall be denied necessary clothing or hygiene items based on his or her inability to pay the fees for the issued items at the time of each new admission to the Rutherford County Adult Detention Center. And this resolution shall take effect upon adoption, the general welfare requiring it, resolved this 15th day of September 2011. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second. That was Commissioner Schaefer. Any questions or discussion? Please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes.
21 yes, motion passes.
Item K2D, a resolution authorizing a procedure for over and under payments of property taxes, interest and penalty, and other costs for the Rutherford County trustee. Whereas the office of the Rutherford County trustee collects thousands of checks, many arriving through the mail, and whereas many checks arrive with an incorrect amount for the payment of taxes, penalty, and interest and other costs. And whereas staff time, postage, and paper costs make it necessary to establish a policy for handling nominal over and under payments. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the Rutherford County trustee is hereby authorized to retain excess funds received of not more than $5 over the actual amount owed for the payment of property taxes, interest and penalty, and other costs in the trustee's excess fees account. And nominal underpayments of $2 or less shall be funded from the trustee's excess fees account. Resolved this 15th day of September 2011. I move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second from Commissioner Cook. Any questions? Please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes.
21 yes, motion passes.
Item K2E, a resolution preliminarily authorizing the issuance of industrial revenue bonds by the Industrial Development Board of Rutherford County for Totser Iroquois Industries, LLC. Whereas at the meeting on June 22, 2011, the Industrial Development Board of Rutherford County adopted a resolution preliminarily authorizing, subject to the submission of satisfactory implementing documents, the issuance of its industrial revenue bonds in one or more series in an aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $3,100,000 to finance certain facilities for Totser Iroquois Industries, LLC. Whereas the proceeds of the sale thereof to be loaned to the borrower will be used for the purpose of financing the constructing and equipping of an existing facility for the location of a metal stamping and assembly plant to be located at 1818 Wheeler Street, Laverne, Tennessee. Therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the county mayor and other appropriate officials of Rutherford County, Tennessee, be and are hereby authorized to execute all necessary documents for the issuance of industrial revenue bonds of not to exceed $3,100,000 in accordance with a resolution duly adopted by the Industrial Development Board of Rutherford County, Tennessee, a copy of the same being attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein by reference as if set forth herein at length verbatim. Resolved this 15th day of September 2011. I move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second, Commissioner Cook. Any questions or discussion on this? Commissioner Cook.
How many employees is this going to bring in? Do you know?
25.
25.
25 potentially, yes.
Any other discussion? Please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes.
21 yes, motion passes.
Item K2F, initial resolution authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $50,725,000 general obligation bonds. For the benefit of the Commission as well as those in the audience, this resolution alerts the community of the intent to borrow this amount, and the resolution will be published in a newspaper of general circulation, giving the community 20 days to respond in a petition if they disagree with our intent to do this borrowing. Initial resolution authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $50,725,000 of general obligation bonds of Rutherford County, Tennessee, and the first paragraph lists in detail the projects that could be funded from this borrowing. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
And a second from Commissioner Sandlin. Questions or discussion? Please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes.
20 yes, 1 no, motion passes.
Okay, next, there's no report from the Health and Education Committee. Now we'll call on Commissioner McAdoo with regard to the Property Management Committee.
We have two resolutions coming from our committee tonight, and the first one is recognition of Mr. Dan Mitchell for his outstanding work and achievement at our Lane Agri Park Arena. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that it authorize an appropriate plaque for displaying honoring Mr. Dan Mitchell in recognition and honor of his devoted service and lasting contributions at the Lane Agri Park Arena. Resolved this 15th day of September 2011, and I so move.
Commissioner Will Jordan, any discussion? All in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Our second resolution is in regard to the housing of the horses at the Sheriff Department. Whereas the attached lease agreement by and between Ricky Womack and Rutherford County, Tennessee, for and on behalf of the Rutherford County Sheriff Department provides for a stabling of law enforcement horses, a copy of said lease agreement being attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein at length verbatim as is set forth herein, and whereas it is in the best interest of the citizens of Rutherford County for the county to enter into said lease agreement. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the appropriate officials for and on behalf of Rutherford County be and they hereby are authorized to enter into and execute for and on behalf of Rutherford County, Tennessee, the lease agreement with Ricky Womack according to its terms and provisions. Resolved this 15th day of September 2011, and I so move.
Commissioner Black will second on that. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Commissioner McAdoo. Mr. Farley, Public Safety Committee report.
Commissioners, I have before you tonight a resolution to approve application for the Fire and Rescue Department to apply for the AFG grants. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that it hereby authorizes the Fire and Rescue Department to apply for AFG grants. Resolved this 15th day of September 2011, and I so move, Mr. Chairman.
And a second from Commissioner Serino. Any discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Okay. Next, we have a Public Works and Planning Committee, Commissioner Jernigan.
Public Works and Planning Committee has a resolution to approve drainage easements request for Deer Crossing subdivision lots 24 and 26, 2 easements Stewart's Creek Road, and one excess easement Stewart's Bend subdivision lots 1B, 1 easement, and Long Creek subdivision lots 8 and 9, 1 easement. Whereas pursuant to the private act authorizing the Rutherford County Highway Commission and Superintendent to work on public drainage easements and provide for the maintenance of public drainage easements. Easements require the county legislative body establish an official list of recognized public drainage easements. The attached Exhibit 1 are the easements recommended by the Planning Department, and whereas the Public Works and Planning Committee has approved the list of public drainage easements as submitted by the Planning Department. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the County Commission approve the attached list of public drainage easements, Exhibit 1, is submitted by the Planning Department in accordance with Tennessee Code annotated 54-903 and 54-904. The public drainage easements shall be the only public drainage easements which shall be worked upon by the Rutherford County Highway Department. Resolved this 15th day of September 2011, I so move.
And a second from Commissioner Gooch. Any discussion? All in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Next, we'll call on Commissioner Coggan to report from the Steering Legislative and Governmental Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, we have a resolution authorizing county clerk and to collect a fee of $5 to defray the cost incurred by Rutherford County for duplicating and storing and maintaining records, specifically marriage licenses and applications. Whereas Tennessee Code Annotated 10-7-408B2 authorizes county bodies to establish and collect through all entities creating public records as defined in Tennessee Code Annotated 10-7-403L and 3, except for the Office of the County Register, an archives and record management fee not to exceed $5 per each record filed by the entities creating the public records. And whereas the said archives and record management fee is to be used solely to defray costs associated with duplicating, storing, and maintaining any records required by law to be permanently kept. And Whereas the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners is desirous to institute an archives and records management fee to be collected by the county clerk in order to defray costs associated with duplications for marriage license, Rutherford County is obligated by law to permanently keep. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that, number one, pursuant to provisions of Tennessee Code Annotated 10-7-408B2, the county clerk in and for Rutherford County, Tennessee, shall be obligated to require and collect a fee of $5 to defray costs incurred by Rutherford County for the duplicating, storing, and maintaining marriage license and applications for marriage license that Rutherford County is obligated by law to permanently keep. Number two, such fee shall be collected at the same time and in the same manner as other fees are collected by the county clerk upon application for a marriage license in the office of the Rutherford County Clerk. 3, pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated 10-7-408B4, the funds so received shall be designated exclusively to defray costs incurred by Rutherford County for the duplicating, storing, and maintaining marriage license and applications for marriage license that the Rutherford County is obligated by law permanently to keep. This resolution shall take effect on the first day of the month following its adoption, the general welfare requiring resolved this 15th day of September 2011. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Commissioner Black, a second. Any questions on that? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Next, we have a resolution to incorporate the employee handbook from the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office into our public record and for the viewing of the general public. Be it resolved, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office Employee Handbook attached hereto is Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein at length verbatim be spread upon the minutes of the County Clerk's Office for access by the general public. Resolved this 15th day of September 2011. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second from, was that Commissioner Turner, excuse me. Any questions on that? All right, all in favor of that, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Next, we have a report from the Redistricting Committee by Chairman Steve Sandlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know this is what everybody's been waiting for. Brian, if you'll go ahead and set up the projector. And Mike, Barbara, if y'all come on up and get in y'all's places, we'll attack this redistricting. While they're coming up and everybody's getting set and everything, we did want to do the overhead. We've gotten a couple of enlarged maps on your right and your left is coming in, also facing the public there and showing what the redistricting committee has put together and is about to proceed and given to the county commission for you to look at and for you to decide upon. The redistricting committee, we've met 5 weeks. Of course, some of us just went to the County Commissioner Association meeting and out of town here just a couple weeks ago, and some of those counties met for, I think, one time and got their redistricting done, but those counties had very little growth. We've had 40% growth in our county from the census from 2010, and we have put together a pretty good plan, we think. This is called Revision 4.0. You already set up already?
Yes,
Man,
sir.
That's quick. All right. So I'm going to ask Ms. Barbara, are you going to take it from there, or are you going to speak here?
I was going to give a little bit of history, if that's all right, sir.
First, I do want to thank Brian and Barbara and Mike for all of the help that they have given from the GIS department. Let me tell you, folks from the public as well as the county commissioners, we could have not done this any way, form, or fashion without their help. With today's technology and what they have on hand, it really made this pretty easy, pretty simple. I don't want to say simple and easy, but it made it a lot more palatable for us struggling through redistricting. And anytime you want to redo lines in a 10-year time frame, it's pretty wild. And so a lot of your districts have changed. I don't know if there's one commissioner on here that absolutely loves the changes that they have seen and worked through and tried. I know I'm not 100% happy neither because of the different changes. When you get in sync with your district and you've done the door-to-door, and you do the picnics, and you do the things that's in your community that you should do anyway, whether you're a commissioner or not, you get close to those folks. And some of you have lost some of those subdivisions and families that you have grown accustomed to and grown up with through years. And it's really kind of sad. It's like losing family. And it's tough. It's tough on redistricting. But our committee worked very well at the beginning. Our first two meetings were a little challenging for us to kind of get hunkered down and settled in, and the feel good about one another, about we're here to do a job. We're here to look at the numbers and to redistrict this county commission by the state requirements. And so we set those. And Mike is going to start us off then, give us a little history on that, and then Barbara, if you'll do yours, and then we'll be right back with you then.
Thank you, Commissioner Sandlin. In the year 2000, there was a census done in Rutherford County, and a population number was returned of 182,000. From those numbers, the Election Commission determined county commission lines, as you see on your screen right now. They're the red lines here. And then in 2010, another census was done, like they do every 10 years. And we now have these lines after your redistricting committee has come together over several meetings. We started out with the original commission lines. The information technology staff crunched a lot of the numbers from the vastly disproportionate numbers in the county. We had some districts that were plus or minus over 30% in population. They needed to either gain or lose over 4,000 people. We moved the gross amount of these numbers around and then presented that to the committee, and from there, over three meetings, they tweaked and fine-tuned these numbers, and this is what you see today in front of you. I would like to point out that last night we were trying out some experimentations between districts 5 and districts 12 up in the Laverne area, and the committee decided at that time not to use that idea, and we tried to put everything back where it was, but we failed to get one small triangle, and the maps in front of you as you originally got here this evening were incorrect, and we corrected those and delivered new maps to you while you were in your committee meetings. Again, the one that was delivered to you earlier, it had some planned statistics for, if you look on the screen up here, for District 5, it showed it was over 7%, and District 12 was under by 6%. And both of those numbers were outside the requirements of the state, which Barbara's going to go over here in a minute. And once we readjusted that back to the way it was originally approved by the committee and at the committee's actual wishes, we got it back to minus 0.21% and plus 0.81%, well within the 5% limit. With that being said, I want to turn this over to Barbara, and she's going to go over some of the state requirements for this redistricting. It's 262,000 and some change, sir.
I attended a state training, and at that state training, we went over the rules and priorities as set forth by legislation in the state for reapportionment for our redistricting. And also the redistricting committee went over their rules and priorities and voted that these were the rules and priorities that guidelines that they would go by for redistricting. Equal population, one man, one vote. Assuming 21 districts, that's 12,505 people per district, and there is a 10% variance that is allowed to be over or under for the entire county, plus or minus 5% for each district, and this map meets that. Race or ethnicity, we did not have any majority-minority districts to begin with in Rutherford County, so we didn't really have to worry about preserving those. So what we did look at is the demographics of the districts after the version 4 was created, and those do not create any majority-minority districts. So the map does meet that state requirement. Another one was compactness. In reapportionment, appearances matter, and districts need to be compact and look like they are not gerrymandered. And this map does meet that. It is defensible. There are some districts that have some little bottlenecks and have some other areas that may appear outside the realm of compactness, but they do meet that because they're following good state guidelines and roads. Contiguous districts, the state software takes care of that for us. We do not have to really worry about that. We go back and look at the software, and the software tells us if these districts are contiguous or not, and we have no little pieces of blocks of the census data that is not contiguous. Protection of incumbents. Road board, school board, and commission incumbents were protected in this plan. Each of these incumbents was left in their current district or in a district that would satisfy them under the road and school board requirement. And the respect for communities. The committee worked very hard, put forth a great deal of effort to really respect the communities of interest, such as the Kittrell community. Commissioner Jordan had a change that he recommended that would preserve the Leanna community. So there was a lot of effort that was put in to really preserve these communities of interest. And this map, version 4.0, does meet all of these state guidelines and the priorities as set forth by the committee.
Thank you, Ms. Barber. Thank you, Mike. Brian, again, thank you very much. One thing I can say for sure, coming on this committee before being thrown under the bus and being nominated chairman, it was pretty scary, really and truly. How is 11-member committee going to work together on something this large and the amount of people that we're talking about in 21 districts? But we did, and we actually had all realms of folks on the committee, whether you were a Democrat or Republican, man or woman. It worked. It really did. It worked, and we had a good working committee, and I want to thank them too publicly on that work. And some of you were the commissioners that were on there, and so I do appreciate everybody's hard work. We actually didn't beat each other up too bad, and worked together, and that's what it's all about. We're working really for the betterment of Rutherford County and our community, and so that's ultimately what has happened. We've said a lot of information. We first put out the numbers that was on a different disc or another thing there, and so you have the right numbers on there now. I think Mike pointed that out. So we've put out two new or another map rather with the new numbers on there. Mr. Chairman, with that being done, we have talked to most of the commissioners, if not all of you, at one time or another. Mike has talked to you. You've came up. You've talked to him. We've had tweaks. I call them tweaks to the committee where you're coming out to a major road, which I like roads better than I do TVA power lines, even though it's legal to do that. I like roads better than I do the boundaries for rivers, but then again, it's legal to do that. Y'all have had the opportunity to do that. We've heard from you. You've came up to other committee, and we have tweaked your commissions or your districts as much as we could to stay within the boundaries. And there's been a give and take really on your district that was right beside you or beside or following you, up above you, north, south, east, or west. Anyway, what I'm saying is you work together, and I appreciate that very much. So with that being said, 21 districts, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a motion that we approve these 21 districts as it's up above us here.
Second by Commissioner Jernigan, that you approve the map 4.0 as created with the date on it yesterday, September the 14th, 2011. Have a motion and a second to accept the recommendation of the redistricting committee. Commissioner Allen.
We did work very hard on this map, and we did move it forward unanimously. There's a couple of things, though, that I just want to mention to this group. I am going to encourage you to not vote for this map tonight and to not move it forward tonight. When we very first began the process, we talked about, do we start with 21? Do we come to the county commission and ask you to give us a number that you want? And I really encouraged everybody to say, you know, you didn't, for us to come to you and ask you how many commissioners do you want would have been a completely arbitrary question without you seeing any data. We hadn't seen any data. And so I said, you know, let's just use 21 as the model, because that's what we have today. Let's start there, but let's look at the data and see where it takes us. My expectation, and I think the expectation of some of the other committee members, is that, you know, we would be open to other scenarios. When I was campaigning, I heard you have too many commissioners up there. The very first meeting, off the cuff, this was an unrehearsed statement that I made in reference to something that I remembered from the time I had been campaigning. It got reported in the paper and it picked up steam. Then people started coming out of the woodwork saying, yes, absolutely, you can be more efficient. You know, private businesses having to cut everywhere, you know, families are cutting everywhere. That would be a pretty safe place for you all to cut and for the citizens to not, you know, be directly negatively impacted by it. So as we were going through this process and we kept hearing that, it's only been 1 week that we had opened this map up to citizen comments. The citizen comments tonight that you heard were, you know, all in favor of the 21 member. Most of the ones that we heard, or bulk of the ones that we heard through the email comments, were all in favor of a 14 member. What I want to encourage you to say is, you know, we have the luxury of time here. We really do. This doesn't have to go into effect until January. When we originally sat together as a committee, our goal was to have it to you by November. And then Commissioner McAdoo encouraged us to back it up to October. And then because of technology and the really talented, you know, staff that we have here, we beat everybody's expectations, and now we have it to you in September. And so we only ever get to look at this one time in 10 years. That's the only time we're allowed to look at redistricting. When people want to know, well, you know, what have you done wrong? Why do they want to cut you? You know, it's not punitive. Nobody's done anything wrong. This is the time. This is the responsibility that this committee has at this point in time to examine this. And I think we need to take another month. I think the committee needs to look at other scenarios. I think you need to go back and talk to your constituents, and then we all come back here fully well-informed in 4 weeks, and then we make a decision. I think this is rushed, I think it's hurried, and I think it's unnecessary. And I think this is far too important a decision for us to make it this quickly. So I'm going to encourage you to vote no on moving this map forward, not because it's a bad map, but just so that we can defer it and look at it next month with another scenario.
Commissioner Jernigan.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a motion to defer with another motion on the floor?
Ma'am, what was, excuse me?
We have a motion and a second on the floor.
Yes, we do.
Can I amend that to defer?
Well, make it, and we'll see what you're trying to say, and then we'll decide if you can amend it.
Okay. Well, I want to defer the vote on this map to adopt it for 1 month.
Okay. She has made a motion to defer action upon this motion that's on the floor for 1 month. Do we have a second? Second, Commissioner Tiffany Phillips. Now discussion on the motion to defer. Commissioner Jernigan.
Well, I'd like to ask every commissioner here, when we started this, like I said, we had a committee. We met for 5 weeks. It was in the newspaper, on the TV, and everywhere. Any commissioner up here could have come to any of them meetings. He could have called anybody. He could have texted anybody. This committee worked hard for 5 weeks to come up with this plan. Even the members here that's asking you to defer this made changes. We made every change that was asked. The vote to defer this, to me, that committee, the way I understood it when we left the other night, the majority of them was firm that they had done the work that this committee, this commission asked them to do. And I ask you to vote no on this deferment, and let's go ahead and vote for this. It's been in the paper, it's been everywhere, and I think we need to go ahead and get it done.
Any other discussion? Commissioner P.
My father-in-law, who lived in a small rural Iowa county, came to visit one time, and he came to the county commission meeting, and he's sitting back there where most of you folks are. And after the meeting, I said, Max, what'd you think? He said, why are there so many of y'all? And I said, well, how many have you got? And he said, well, there are 3 of us, or 3 commissioners. He wasn't one. And I said, I said, well, how many people in your county? He said, well, there's 24,000. And I said, well, Max, I said, there's 21 of us. And I said, I represent over 8,000 people. And I said, it sounds like we're pretty well equal there, because if you take 3 into that 24, that's pretty close to 8, I think. So even for a rural county in Iowa, it seems like we're on the same page with them as far as representation. You know, and I'll have to agree with Commissioner Jernigan here. I mean, this commission set up a redistricting committee, and this committee has came back with a motion for us to adopt, and I would say let's go ahead and vote on this, up or down, and if it's down, then, you know, we'll go back and look at it again, but I would urge you to go ahead and vote for this. And one other comment was made about emails, besides the people that are standing out here or sitting out here that made the comments earlier. I've got some emails. I'll pass them down and let you read them. All my emails say keep 21 commissioners. All the people in my district that have talked to me about this told me to keep 21 commissioners. So I don't know, evidently the people on your end of the county are telling you something different from what the people on my end of the county are telling me. Thank you.
Thank you. Other discussion? Just a moment, Mr. Sandlin. I have to let everyone speak before I can go back and let you speak a second time. Who else would like to speak? Anyone before we start again with Ms. Allen? Ms. Allen.
The one other thing I want to say about the committee was, yes, we did move this map forward unanimously, but after Commissioner Stevens came and presented the concept of a 14-member map, the motion was made that we move that map forward for you to look at it tonight as well. That motion failed 6-5. It didn't fail unanimously. Everybody was not unanimously behind this map. The reason that that map did not move forward is because the committee hadn't had a chance to examine it. We hadn't had a chance to look at it. We wanted the time to look at it. And what I would encourage you is don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. If you feel like, you know, this other plan, you know, was created by one person and you either don't like how it was created or who created it or whatever, you know, it doesn't make the idea a bad idea. And so all I'm asking is that you let this group go back and look at the scenario of what a 14-member or whatever other number you would like, you know, would look like. I think 14 is the most logical number if we do a reduction, primarily because of how it fits in with road board and school board. But, you know, don't throw out a bad idea just because you don't like how it was presented or who presented it or when it was presented. You know, our group moves so fast at such a rapid pace, it would have been hard for anybody to keep up with us. You know, we did welcome and encourage feedback, but I just want you to know, with a 6-5 vote last night, with one vote could have shifted, you'd be looking at 2 maps tonight, and one of them would have been one that I don't know that I necessarily could have endorsed because we didn't have a chance to look at it turn by turn, corner by corner throughout this county. And I don't think it's a bad idea for us to take that and look at it over the next 4 weeks, look at it next month, let you all decide.
All right. The discussion we're having is whether we, on the motion to defer the vote on the motion that's on the floor to accept the recommendation of the steering committee. Commissioner Coggin.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I just have a question related to the deferment as far as if we did defer it, to look at another map maybe in October the 13th. I know that some of the precincts and other things have to be reworked before January 1st. I'm just curious on timing, if there's any kind that, you know, we have any kind of idea how long that would take, and if that deferment would create a problem for either map.
I don't see our election commission. Anyone from the election commission here? I think that was mentioned during the meeting last night, but I don't have any firsthand knowledge. But they did express some concern about the time in getting those precincts identified properly. So, but I don't.
And placing the voting places, so that they would need time to get through that, and then we have to have it by the state or to the state in a nice package by January 1. And to comment on, if it's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. You can speak to the
okay. The
motion on the floor.
The timeline that I set forth with the GIS department really was to present this to you in October, or actually November. And the timeline that we sent up and that they tweaked, it was actually to bring to you in October. So we were a month early there. With us putting this together and then the committee gelling, I would say, they really just gelled together, we got through this. And with your help as commissioners and your input on each district, we got through this process. One of the main things on this new map here, the 14th map, is that we couldn't just send you something that we couldn't defend. You know, every time that we did a tweak, so to speak, we asked Mike and Barbara and Brian, can we defend this? So we want to make sure all the legalities have been met by the state requirements, and we have that in 21 districts. We didn't see that in the 14. So by saying that, we didn't want to send you something that we're hypothetically telling you that's going to work or not going to work. And I didn't want to spend and waste your time here with a not approved plan and spending the time on it that we needed to, just like we did this plan. But we are working on a time frame, but I would say that I'll be voting no on this as well, because I think this is a good plan. I like this plan. We've worked hard on this plan, and if you're with this plan, we will continue to go with it. If you decide not to, and you decide to defer, I would ask you, though, give us a direction. That's our first two meetings, that was the biggest point of direction. And to tell you the truth, you look at those meetings, it was going the other way. We were looking, okay, what's our max? 25. And I'm going, please don't go 25 districts, you know, so let's keep it 21. But I was overruled for a certain point there about, you know, well, what does 23 do? What does 22 do? What does 24 do? What does 25 do? You know, by the law and our census, we can go down to 9, and we can go as high as 25 districts. So we settled with 21 because we have 21 now, and it works with our school board and our road board. That's why we did it. We didn't have any other direction or any other motive or anything. That's what we have, and let's work with what we have. Otherwise, until something else comes in the middle of this meeting or from another commissioner or another redistricting committee member, that's what we're going to do. And that's what you have in front of you tonight.
Any other comments?
All I'm asking is, if you defer, give us a number. Don't let us hang out there and bring you another 100 scenarios. We don't have the time to do that. We need, how many districts do you want? And we'll go in and work hard and try to come up with a plan.
Any other person wishing to speak that hasn't already spoken regarding this motion to defer? Commissioner Jordan.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but I will bring up a point I brought up several times over the last 10 years, approximately, I've been up here. It's an entirely different job for a rural commissioner than for a commissioner that represents a municipal area. We are the only voice our districts have. My district at the present time is 20 miles from one end to the other, and I get several calls a week, and in the past 10 years, I don't believe I've missed returning a single call or going and visiting a person that had a problem with a street sign or drainage or something. And I've got approximately 12,000 people in my district. It's a pretty good job. It's a pretty good little bit to handle besides making a living in between time to take care of 12,000 people that don't have another voice. And if you want to up this to 18,000 people, you better have a whole lot of part-time employed people as commissioners who can have enough time on their hand to actually do the job. I don't want to belittle any commissioners that to serve in the municipal areas, but some of these districts are tiny. Some of them you can walk in 15 minutes. It takes me 30 minutes to get from one end to the other, and that's probably breaking the speed limit. I've got to go into Wilson County to get to part of my district. And I just don't see how somebody would do a good job representing half again as many people that are that far spread apart. It's just unfathomable to me.
Commissioner Farley.
I'm like Will. I wasn't going to say nothing tonight, but government representing people. The best representation that you can have is on the local level. We're more in touch and closer to the people than our state representatives, than our senators in Nashville, or than our U.S. representatives in Washington. We're the first line of representation when it comes to being with the people. It's about we the people. That's who we represent. And when we get away from that, representing we the people, we've lost and we're out of touch. Anytime you get close to 19,000 people, it's, what is it, 18,757 roughly? You get close to 19,000 people, just like Will said, there's no way in the world you can do the job that those people deserve. 21 commissioners, to me, is the best plan. When it comes, I didn't even know it tonight until some of the people were talking. You're talking about a quarter per voter in Rutherford County. That's less. That's, a phone call costs more than that. 66 cents per person, I think they said in each district. You know, we got to look at these numbers, and we got to think in the best interest of the people that we represent. And anytime you get the span of control where it's out of line, the people that we're representing is going to be the ones suffer. And we need to think about that before we vote tonight. We're up here for the people. And when we forget that, we've lost a lot of stuff when we forget about the people. And I think if we do anything different than this, we're going to be forgetting about the people we represent. Thank you.
Any other person wishing to speak toward this motion to defer? Commissioner Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Commissioner Farlow. We are here to represent the people, and the people in my district that have contacted me want us to consider a map with a smaller number of commissioners. I ask you to support Commissioner Allen's motion to defer this one more month. It's not going to hurt anything. And let's get the committee to study a 14-member map so we can at least tell the people that wanted us to consider that we listened to their opinion, that we valued it, we appreciated them being involved in the process, and we did our due diligence to make sure we make the right decision. I don't know what's wrong with studying the 14-member map. It may not be the right way to go. The 21-member map might be the right way to go. But let's at least take the time to study it and tell them that we did our due diligence and are doing the right thing instead of just pushing through the incumbent protection plan tonight because it's what the committee came up with. I really think we need to take the time and study this and do it right. So I ask you to support Commissioner Allen's motion to defer.
Let's see, Commissioner P. Is anyone else wishing to speak that hasn't already spoken first, please? All right. Commissioner P., please.
Well, I just take exception to the comment of the Commissioner Protection Plan. If that's the case, from what I've heard of your map, where you drew yourself with no opponent of a standing commissioner, it sounds like a little bit of protectionism going on to me. Thank you.
And Commissioner Jernigan, did you wish to speak?
As being a member of that committee, I urge you to vote no on this amendment. Like I said, we met 5 weeks. And here's Commissioner Stevens. Tries to do a good job, smart man. Where's he been them other 5? He could have been to every meeting, addressing that committee, saying we need to be looking at smaller. Never spoke up a time until bring us up there at the last. We didn't even have a chance to see it until right at the last minute. We shouldn't even looked at it, my opinion, because they had all that time, but we gave them courage to do it. I think we need to vote no on this and go ahead and vote what this committee spent all this time and effort for. And the election, people is on election staff over there and all, highly recommend it. They said they had a lot of work to do, and I urge you to vote no on this amendment. Let's go ahead and vote for the plan that the committee sent forward.
Commissioner Cook wishes to speak. Commissioner Cook.
Looking at the map, Commissioner Schaefer come by on Labor Day and showed me the map, and we talked about it, and I said it looks good to me, and I appreciate the committee. I appreciate you all very much working on this, and I will vote against the amendment, but I do want us to vote for this map that we have planned. I can't speak for the other 20, but for myself, I will speak for that. And since I've been on the county commission, I think I have been bounced around all over Laverne. And we like 2,000 having, maybe 2,600 having 3 commissioners now full-time in Laverne.
Thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner Sandlin, you want to make one last comment?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Just one last comment. The state has recognized Rutherford County in 40% growth, and they have stated that we need another House representative spot, which is basically in that northern area of the county. So they've said we need another House representative for the state. So they have seen our growth. I'm not promoting another district, believe you me, past 21, but I'm also not promoting anything less neither. So I would urge you to vote against this amendment. And I call
All
the
right.
question, Mr. Chairman.
Are we ready to vote on the request, the motion to defer action upon the original motion? If you are, please cast your votes. If you vote yes, you're voting to defer any action for 1 month on the motion that was placed initially. Yes, sir. That's right. If you vote no, you're wanting to go ahead and vote up or down on your district plan, the 21 districts that's been presented by the redistricting committee. Yes, sir. All right. Is that clear? Any other questions? So please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes.
7 yes, 14 no. Amendment fails.
And that's not an amendment. It was just a motion to defer, but that's a point of clarification. Now the motion to approve the plan that's been developed and recommended by the redistricting committee is on the floor. Any discussion regarding that motion to approve? If there's no other discussion, Commissioner Farley.
Mr. Chairman, if you would clarify the motion, that the motion is to approve 4.0, which is 21 commission districts that's proposed now.
As proposed by the committee. That is correct. Official reapportionment of the 21 districts into the definition of area that has been defined by the committee. Commissioner Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to offer an amendment to require the redistricting committee to draw a map with 14 districts for this commission to review.
I think just a moment to defer. Commissioner Stevens, I don't think that's an amendment to that motion. The motion is to approve the map as proposed and developed by the redistricting committee. So that's not a valid motion. That's my ruling. Well, all right. Commissioner, excuse me. Any other discussion? Commissioner Farley?
Call for the question.
Call for the question. You have a second on that? Second. All in favor of calling for the question, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes.
16 yes, 5 no. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Sandlin. Now, is there any other business that anyone wishes to bring before the body? Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes, this is the Weekend for Old Timers Day in Laverne. Yes, all of y'all need to be there. Who knows? There may be some people from Smyrna that even there, and maybe Murfreesboro, whatever. But there's a carnival that starts tonight, and it goes through Saturday, There's going to be music, everything else. Also, Saturday morning, 6 to 10 o'clock, right before the parade, is going to be a ham breakfast at Rescue Squad. One of the top 2 or 3 ham breakfasts you can find in the state of Tennessee. I don't want to knock out Kittrell or anything like that or Las Casas, but it's a very good one. So come on out and support the Rescue Squad. Thank you.
Commissioner Sandlin.
Mr. Chairman, I've got kid report. So my son's playing ball right now. I don't know if they're winning or losing anyway. I'll find out in just a second. But I've got to brag on my daughter. She is in 4-H, pretty high and heavy in 4-H club, if y'all know what that is. And she has developed, evidently, a great system for curing country ham because she won 2nd place over at the Wilson County Fair. She won 1st place in the 4-H club with the state fair on all the 4-H hams, and then overall won grand champion. So she is Tennessee State Fair grand champion country ham winner at 11 years old. So I'm mighty proud of her. And eat ham every time you get a chance, all right?
Commissioner P.
Speaking of ham, the Kittrell Volunteer Fire Department is having a country ham breakfast this weekend also. And we might be interested in talking to your daughter about this ham that you've got. But in conjunction with the country ham breakfast, it's also from 6 to 10. And I don't want to take anything from Laverne either. They're a fine group up there, and I go up there and eat. And I would say eat 2 breakfasts Saturday morning if you can handle that. But also at Kittrell, there's a planned reunion, which starts at 10. People are advised, if they can, most of them meet over at the ham breakfast at the old school. And then the reunion itself will be at the new school starting at 10. And they run sometimes as late as 5 in the evening. And they're going to have, of course, friends there, but everybody's encouraged to bring a covered dish if you can. You don't have to. We're going to feed you anyway. Also, there'll be a Slick Pig barbecue there for sale, and there'll be country music or a band there. But anyway, come out if you get the chance. Thank you. And that's Saturday the 17th, 6 to 10 for the ham breakfast and 10 on.
Any other business, Commissioner Allen?
Well, while we're on festivals, the Smyrna has their Depot Days, October 1st. This group won't meet again until then, but it's the Downtown Merchants Festival. The Smyrna Independent Merchants Association hosts this each year, and it's always, great food and fun. And then also this Sunday, the Smyrna Rotary Club is honoring Mr. Rakes at the Town Center with a resolution of recognition for him as well. So as if we've not congratulated him enough, we want to, you can't do it. We'd like to do it 52 times, once for each year, so I think we're on track to do that. So.
Any other business anyone wishes to bring forward? Motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.